Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, man? BG, what's happening, man?
Oh, that was slick. I see what you did there. I like how you did that. Well, I gotta get up early to watch your ass, man.
We're still waiting. We're honing a lot of background stuff to try and get a nice banging intro to this show. As of right now, we're using a stock 30-second countdown. But when you got these two dudes right here smiling at you, you don't really need any theme music, man. We're just gonna finesse right into this show right now, man. Oh, BG, man. What's new on your end, man?
Man, I was over here getting geeked. I was like, he about to play some Dallas Cowboys to the death of me. Like, that was smooth how you set me up on the the pregame, I like how you get real savagery over there. But man, it's the weather ain't as bad as it is in Texas, man. So prayers up to all my folks in the great state of Texas, man. I know they are frozen, and we ain't talking about the tundra neither. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I kept trying to remind myself to say something at the top of the show. I got a lot of folks out there. Our producer M-Dub McMoo is out there in West Texas. He's not the kind to panic, and he's always prepared. So I wasn't worried so much about him, but I am obviously worried about some of the folks that don't have a lot of stuff to keep themselves warm. People that are not necessarily thinking correctly and staying in their cars, and just a lot of stuff that's going on out there. So it's definitely a little disheartening to deal with.
Yeah, man. Did you see that some elected mayor out there, I guess, was getting Twitter fingers done turned to trigger fingers, and he had to resign after some shit he said, talking about y'all need to get off your ass or something in the cold. I'm like, man, what part of the game is this? Well, it's getting kind of weird out here. You know what I mean?
That was Colorado Springs, Texas, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
My wife was just reciting that to her mom. And as I was hearing it, I'd say the first 7 sentences kind of made sense, because what he was saying was right. But see, the thing, it's always this, and obviously not everything he said was right. Trying to depend on your government during these times, probably not the greatest idea. There's a lot of stuff that's probably not the greatest idea, but definitely one of the greatest ideas, not the greatest idea right now, is to talk shit about your American people and kick them when they're down, when all this shit's going on right now. He just said a lot of messed up stuff. So, I mean, that's pretty messed up. I think we already know in some times in our life, we're only here for ourselves. We have to fend for ourselves. We have to watch out for our family. We don't need some dude like that coming and telling us that shit, especially not right now, man.
No. And shout out to my boy Julio Campos, out there in Florida, senior chief on active duty right now. He once told me, big time Dallas Cowboy fan, man. Shout out Campos, you know who you are, baby. Elected officials aren't leaders, because a lot of times you see these leaders with their positions, and people's loss of life should be the focus, not the byproduct, And
right.
People that get up on these soapboxes like this. So you got to remember, man, a lot of these elected officials, they ain't never led their way out of no damn wet paper bag, much less lead somebody on fucking Twitter. So shout out and prayers to all those in Texas, man, because I know I got some folks out there too, man. It's pipes busting, water, Shout out Stash Man. If y'all follow Stash Man, y'all see he was dealing with water all in his house after working at Home Depot all day, helping folks out there. So, shout out to everybody who's having to deal with this, because, it was pretty nice up here today. I don't know what the weather was down there like you, but it could be worse wherever you're at. So give some prayers to them folks out there in Texas, y'all.
For real. Real quick, let's say what's up to the usual suspects. Bobby's up in the house. Sarah up in the house always. Brandon always up in the house. Mike always up in the house. There's always one Facebook user up in the house too. So if you've gone to StreamYard, you signed up, you linked up your email, that's cool. It may just be something on a Facebook side, because I see an F next to your name, which leads me to believe you're watching on Facebook. But and real quick, be read. I just was able to package that package for you correctly. You know what I'm sending you, so I wanted to make sure that shit was immaculately packaged, and it's in a big giant box. I'm gonna probably ship it off for you tomorrow, man. Just wanted to give you that heads up. I didn't get to tell you that. So we got the usual suspects hanging out with us, man. This is beautiful. I'm a light one for y'all, man. This is for the patrons.
Yeah, shout out to Sarah Berryhill, the OAT Built Different Tattoo. I know she's out there dealing with a lot of snow, up there in Michigan. So there's some snow. We had it here the other day, and it kind of disappeared after a couple of days. It wasn't even really no snow. It was just like hey, look at us, and we were gone. But you hear that going on now. Everybody's like, oh, Texas against the northern states against the southern states. We're starting to see a lot of influx of that. But I think really what we want to see is, why are they trying to cap the potency? You know what I'm saying? On some cannabis. The conversation is already like, we should only allow cannabis to be this potent. I don't know. What's your thoughts as we talk about that on today's show?
You know, when I thought about that law, and we're talking about sort of like all the laws that are concerning it, especially in an industry in a city or state where cannabis is already there, it's very hard to jump in there and just start changing shit around. But I always kind of think, what is the motivation for someone to want to do that? Well, I think the motivation for this particular person, and really anybody who happens to be in the position to pass these laws or make these laws, they want to attach themselves to a movement of some kind. So they want anybody who says, oh, I want to go from 40% to 15%. There's a bunch of their friends at a table saying, yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. And once they attach themselves to that idea, if it passes from there on out, their name is going to be attached to that. And so no matter what people think with these politicians, man, more than anything, they're just trying to get votes. They're just trying to get people to follow them. They want followers like everybody else. So these laws are kind of put in every once in a while to make people start saying, oh shit, what do we do? They're going to lower the potency. I'll tell you what, if cannabis is already legal in your city, in your state right now, the chances are someone coming in to lower their percentages on your cannabis, on your concentrates, on your edibles, it's probably not going to happen. I've seen it I've seen it attempted many times since cannabis started becoming medically legal and recreational legal here in Denver. It just doesn't work out. It always dies. At some point it dies.
Yeah, shout out to marijuanamoment.net. If you guys don't know who we follow here, you know, I got the ganja god with me next to me. But, you know, follow marijuanamoment.net, and you guys can follow all the legislature around the 50 states. Like I said, I'm a patron, $25 a month. I get an email 3:30 every morning to keep us abreast, your square groupers here, abreast all the legislation and things like we're talking about here. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I read that broke, I think, in the last 24, 48 hours. I'm like, no shit. Like, there's already people out there thinking, like you say, these groups of people that attach these things to these ideas, and it's very much like politics, very much the American way. I mean, it's just like OATs, like square groups, like whatever brand you're trying to build, you know what I mean? But will it catch traction? You know what I mean? And I'm just like, they got to be some non-stoners if they're trying to cap the potency. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just
you know what?
In my head.
I tell you what, that's probably the truth, because here's the deal. If you are a smoker, you'll go after something else. You know, you probably maybe go after packaging, making sure childproof is really you know what I'm saying? Like there's other stuff you could attack in the industry, because there's always something you can step on. You know, you can always find something to mess with. But I've been finding, you know, in terms of this, I don't really think it's got any traction. Governor Polis is all about cannabis in Colorado, all about cannabis. He's all in on all of it. So for me to think that he's really open for, you know, criticism in the industry right now, I don't think it's necessarily the case at all. I've got some information. No state that has currently legalized marijuana has a THC limit on any of their products. Florida lawmakers are considering a 10% cap on THC in medical marijuana products, though, while a commercial legalization measure moving through Vermont's state legislature would limit retail marijuana flower to 30% and concentrates to 60%. So, you know, again, as I just said, there's not one state right now that has actual cannabis laws that has any of those caps on there, because I think right away when you cap potency, you cap money. No one wants to say that shit. It's exactly right. Because if you say to somebody, all right, look, I got my dispensary, come on and check me out, but everything I got is 15%, they're going to be like, okay, so like the dude next to you, he's got 99% in his shatter? Yeah. All right, well, good luck with that, man.
Yeah, exactly.
See you around.
See how your marketing department does.
Yeah, and you've got to really, really go hard on that. It's to try and find a way for people to be okay with that. You know, I just don't think it's anything that's gonna happen anytime soon. Although I don't know, we'll have somebody in the industry here in a little bit to talk about it. But someone like yourself, really, I should ask you, because you know you asked me that question. I guess I always give you the long answer because that's the way I roll. But in essence, you know me as someone who doesn't give a shit about percentages of cannabis for the most part, because I always know if I go to Good Chemistry and get that this is probably what it's going to equal, give or take 4%, which no human being in the world can really take and find the difference of. But for yourself, as someone who actually pays attention to the percentage of THC, how would that sway you from a purchase if you saw that it was all capped?
I'm gonna tell you, just like anything, it's like education. And as I've shared with you guys in my the beginnings of rolling technically with the cannabis here, rolling how to roll a blunt, you know what I mean, on YouTube. Everything's about education. So at first I was like, hey man, I'm I like 25 to 30 because, initially, I'm thinking, hey, the THC strains, if it says it's a higher percentage, it must mean I'm going to get higher, or I'm going to get medicated more, or I'm going to feel better, or whatever it is, that you're trying to get from it, right? That's not necessarily true, because what I've come to find out with hanging out here with you is otherwise through these shows we've been going. What's this, episode 15 now?
It's 14. Yeah.
14. Okay, so episode 14. So, being able to learn that, I'll share with you just recently, and I just told you this prior to the show, and I'm glad this is a great segue going to that. I bought some 14%, and it was good marketing. I don't have the bag here. It's called Black Cat Farms, and it had like a black cat, like,
the firecrackers?
Yeah, like the firecrackers, right?
Nice.
And I grew up popping fireworks, and
Yep.
my father always introduced me to them, and Black Cat was kind of a name. He was in a band called Black Cat Bones. So I'm like, let me try it. It was 14%. And I'm like, but it looks sticky. But long story short, man, it ain't all about the percentages now, because even your brother, who I think, we may have another sighting here, shared with me on the last show or the 2 shows before. And I think you were talking about that too as well. When you first smell, the cannabis, based on how that, that interaction goes, is going to be an indicator for you whether it's going to be a good strain for you or not. Yeah. And so I'm just learning this. So putting that together, I was a shopper at 25 to 30 all the time. That's all I got to have. Now I've ran into some good stuff. Now I ran into some stuff. I'm like, how they make this 25? How they make this 30? But it's different for each person. And I think the education we get back to going to that part is you got to know what. You got to experiment, to your own, there's nothing out there now for you other than you. So in this journey, until there's some other scenarios out there to follow, you got to kind of figure your way. And that's why I'm glad I'm hanging out here with you, because it's exponentially learning my, learning or speeding up my learning curve here.
I appreciate that, man. And he's right in that. It's very much like food and anything else you approach in your life. You see it first, you smell it, your body reacts to it, and it's the only way I can kind of throw at you, because there's really very few things that in terms of food that I won't eat. One of them is gorgonzola or blue cheese. I won't go near the shit. Yeah. And I just can't mess with it, man. I can mess with goat cheese, every other kind of cheese, but there's something that happens to me when I smell it. I get this internal thing, and then no matter what, I can't go near the shit. So it's the same exact thing. There's been plenty of cannabis that's come through my house that's just sat there because I smelled it and I went, I'll put that away maybe next time, maybe when I've run out of this or something like that. But it's definitely sort of a visceral, breathing and smelling and sight experience. So, what do we got here? Oh, Dallas, it's Jess. What's up, Jess? Okay.
Gang, that's a OAT first lady right there, Dallas Jess, man. She been around. Y'all got to stick around for March, man. We got Women's History Month coming, boy. Ooh, I got folks like Dallas Jess talk about Portia Bell. Shout out to admins. Y'all know what y'all do around here. Appreciate y'all hanging out.
Mike Rock, you did go through it, all that good stuff. But I sent you originally signed up. You were one of the first guys to sign up. I think I sent you a package, right? Because if I didn't, then I don't know. I'm pretty sure I did that. I thought I saw something next to your name. But if you're looking to get some stickers and stuff, I'll send you some shit. You know me. Facebook user says, I'm trying to get a CBD shop out here in North Carolina. I'm just kidding. I know who it is. As soon as it ever does become legal out here, I want to transition to be, that's beautiful.
I can see Jess cooking and planting, you know what I mean? He's going to do shit out there around.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? That's definitely
I can see alley. As soon as it gets to the point where it's medically legal and you can grow it, I already know Jess is all over that shit. But yeah, that's a smart way. And I actually just made a full pint of cannabis oil. I'm sure you saw that, Jess. I posted a picture of it and I tested it out. It's great stuff. You can't even taste the coconut. It's just so good. But yeah, there's a good way to roll that CBD into making some money. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't necessarily care too much about the cap because, like I said, it's just I haven't paid a lot of attention to THC, and the problem I have with it is that I've gone to dispensaries here or there that have advertised 34, 35, 40% THC in their flower. I've got home and smoked it, and it hasn't done anything more than something that advertised itself as 15 to 20. So I have to ask, how do those numbers become what those numbers are? What actually is their buffer zone? Are they allowed to lie 5%? Because obviously any dispensary who says that they've got a 5% buffer, everything that's 25 is going to be 30 for them, no matter what. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that comes to the point you have to start believing, you have to start having faith in other things that you're not in control of. What you are in control of is seeking out specific strains that do what you want them to do to you, because all the strains are going to continuously do those same things to you over and over. So I would say hunt down strains and genetics and names more than you hunt down THC percentages. That's just old school advice.
Yeah, and I'll tell you from new school right here. You know what I mean? As being a frequent shopper, so we're talking about caps here and everything. You know what I mean? So shout out to my veterans. If I got a USMC or an Army veteran, I'm talking to you tonight. I'm gonna give these hats away to two lucky folks. We got some veterans on here. But speaking to veterans, I mean, you've got to get your medical card if you can. And that's one of the other benefits of hanging out here with Square Groupers on episode 14 today. Getting back through all the other episodes, you know what I mean? Bob the Cannabis Cowboy helped me get that card. So why should you get that? Because there was a big stigma for veterans out there for a while that thought that even in legal states, they couldn't partake in cannabis because the government would take any benefits from them through the VA. They had them. But then they came out and wrote a law and said, no, we're not going to do that, because you got folks up here like me in Washington State that can just walk right in and shop and be a frequent shopper. But I go back to saying getting that card, because for two things, it registers with the Department of Health, and you're part of the solution and not the problem. And then the other thing is, like you said, don't chase these strain limits. You got to experiment and smell these things. I know it's hard you can't do it in a dispensary. So it's going to be, you got to shop, and you're going to have to experiment and do some different things with different strains. See what I did there? In order to get the best effect for you, because you only know you better than nobody else. And that's kind of where we're at. So you got to stick around with us, man, and learn.
So it looks like my brother might not be able to make it today, but that's okay. Shit happens. Yeah. Let's see. Brandon asked a question here. I want to say, got some seeds from a friend of mine and tried to germinate them, but it didn't work. It's been really cold in your house for the past week. Is that a problem? Yes. 100% yes. Seeds will not germinate in temperatures. Matter of fact, if I can give you some numbers, you want to aim for between 75 and 85 degrees to keep your seeds, to germinate them properly. So what you would want to do, ideally, if you can do this, is spray, like everyone knows, you spray down a paper towel, you put your seeds on it, and you put that inside a baggie, but then spray the baggie again so it mists a little bit, and then throw that on top of a heating pad. Make sure you can regulate that heating pad, or find a way to make sure that it stays within that 75, 85 degree zone. And within 24 to 48 hours, you should start seeing results. Anything colder, you're going to either slow down production or it just won't pop. That doesn't mean those seeds don't work, though. So don't throw them out. If you've got a way to kind of put those back into a warm environment, maybe on top of a fridge or somewhere there it's dark and warm, you could probably still get those things to germinate.
Yeah, so I went and found a link. I'm going to throw it up in here. I don't know. I was put it in a private chat, send it over to you. You can put it up there. So folks, any veterans that are watching, you can check that out real quick. Just Google, cannabis, military, and benefits. And you got to know the keyword game, and you pretty much can find anything that's out there. So for the veterans that are listening or watching it today, you know what I mean? I got a USMC and an Army cap here. That's these, snapbacks, as we get ready to come out here in the warmer weather. Hopefully Texas gets some warmer weather here soon. But we want to talk to some veterans here today as well. You guys know what we do here at Square Groupers. He's the ganja god next to me. He knows how to help you grow and do all those things. And then as I'm kind of his test dummy, you see here, I've got a medical cannabis card, and now we're here and experimenting to share this here with you as we grow. Because one thing is for sure, man, when this cannabis industry tide comes in, you're going to make sure your boat is in the water with Square Groupers. You know what I mean? And
again, it's funny you say that, because I think this person who's trying to get this law is trying to find their way to ride the cannabis wave. I mean, we know that business-wise, it's hard for you to jump into it and gain any sort of traction and money unless you are backed by a big backer. So really, if you want to get your name inside the cannabis business, you can do it by actually fucking it up like this person wants to do. But let me see if I can. I'm gonna.
Well, and again, and I'll take this back to, and I'll relate it to Cowboy fans. We got most of the Cowboy fans here watching. You guys remember, shout out all the lovers. You know what I mean? Y'all was on Valentine's Day. Cupid shooting hearts and doing all this shit, flowers. Oh, look at my dinner and all this stuff, right? You know what I mean? Well, Dak Prescott's girlfriend or wife to be, whatever, she had a ring on, right? Natalie posted on her IG. You know what I mean? So I seen that, I posted that. And basically folks was hating on our guy on Valentine's. So I'll just tell you, everybody want to get in their own lane. So even when you see folks like these trying to cap, everybody wants to carve out their niche in the community, so to speak. So even if Dak Prescott can get hated on Valentine's Day, man, come on, do the math.
If you guys are reading what's on the screen right now, this is from the Denver Post on the marijuana cap bill. And it says within a report that the use of cannabis with higher THC content of 12 to 18% was associated with diagnosis of a psychotic disorder in adulthood, regardless of childhood cannabis abuse status, the report said, which is kind of weird.
No, the name of the game right now is, and I'm starting to see this trend, bro, is folks, okay, it's like the Dak haters, bro. And, we go back to the Dak haters. Dak haters always got to find new excuse. Can't throw 5 yards. He's game manager. Can't throw long. Now he's hurt. He ain't work. Whatever it is, right? You know what I mean? Same way with this cannabis game. You know what I mean? Folks is going to do the same thing, man, with the Cowboy fans and these folks outside of this are looking at this as an opportunity, just like we are. And, there are going to be some folks that's going to come in and fuck it up, so to speak.
Yeah. And I can't stress it enough. And I think a lot of people who are near dispensaries kind of have that, where they go and they pick up these strains that they continuously buy over and over, and they like it. And that's really just go with, I was going to say, just go with that, man. Like, I know you kind of want to always try these new strains, and that's cool to try out new things. Cause if you don't try out new things, you're really not going to know how your body reacts to it. But there's always every head that I know that's been smoking for 5-10 years or something like that, or any more than that, they've got probably 3 or 4 go-to strains that they know that they can rely on, that are going to do what they want. They have their desired effect. There's a strain that I smoke called Lavender, where my wife and I, if she sees me smoking it, she's like, you make sure that that that's a nighttime strain. So I'll actually take a little pen and write L on it, so that I know that I'm not going to smoke that during the daytime, because it's going to pretty much knock me out. But I think making sure that you let your body and your mind do the answering for you is the smart way to go in a lot of things. those
just know the difference. Just know the difference between indica and sativa.
Yeah,
because if you smoke a lot of sativa like I did, and I got on this because I was trying new shit, and then sometimes you can get excited because it looks good, and man, it's got a high percentage, but I forgot it's indica, it's not sativa. Then you buy an ounce of indica, and then all of a sudden you slow down. And again, I went through that phase where I went through a couple ounces of indica, and I was like, man, why am I? I'm not myself. I'm not motivated. I'm not. You know what I mean? This is not what I'm used to. And then I got to get back to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think even hybrids are kind of tough. And again, we're talking about letting your body go. I found out really, really early on, and in Wellspring was one of the first instances I know of this. Blue Dream was a strain that I didn't grow up smoking. I didn't really smoke until I moved here to Denver. And it was something I saw in Wellspring / Good Chemistry for the entire time they've been there. It's always listed as a sativa. And I tried it a few times without knowing that it was listed as a sativa, and it put me to sleep quite a bit. And I remember saying to myself, all right, well, this is a pretty good indica. And I went back to Wellspring, and they said, no, it's a sativa. And I went, no, it's an indica. It does to me what indicas do to me. And that's when I found out that the blueberry, sometimes when you've got a hybrid, whether it's sativa or indica dominant, you can kind of go either way on that one. Hybrids are real weird.
Yeah, that's a whole nother level of the game you're trying to figure out. So you got to know what you like, first of all. And then based on what you find out you like, what's the the experience you get from it. And then it's kind of figure out your own way. Not all weed is the same.
No, that's for sure. There's a lot of stuff I can't. I was talking to somebody today about that when that thing I posted on Facebook about what's your favorite weed smell. And obviously I posted pre-98 because it's got that wonderful coffee smell to it. But it's just one of those things. Like I said, you smell that and you're like, oh man, that's what I like. And so you wind up digging it. The bubblegum strains are another one that I love. That are kind of amazing.
So what you burning on? Did you already share what you burning on over there today or no?
I am actually, I believe this was peach sherbet. I'm pretty sure this was a sample that I got. Nice. C99. I got a sample for my brother at Diego Pellicer, which I believe is an artsy cannabis product, which is another local cannabis company that my brother has turned me on to through his dispensary. But
bro, I don't know what the hell y'all doing out there in Denver, but man, the news has been everywhere. Y'all sold like $2.2 billion of marijuana or something during the pandemic. And then now, you guys always share with you. I follow Wanda James, who's, pretty big in the industry on LinkedIn. And man, I'm going to tell you, just aside from other folks coming in like these cappers, you know what I mean? You got, big bank trying to take little bank, and there's the social equity conversation. There's who's getting licenses for businesses. As you see, Dallas just talk about, I want to open up a business. Like there's so much zoning when it comes to opening some kind of cannabis business, and then you're on some list, and then it's like a lottery, then it's who you know, and then basically can you get in the door. So if you don't know what's going on with that, I advise y'all, if y'all listen to Sirius XM on Sundays, y'all need to check out Reggie Noble over there. Y'all know who he is, Red Man on the Muddy Waters out there in New Jersey, as he's spearheading that out there. New Jersey's actually going through all that. They just passed that now. They're writing the law. And so there's somebody to pay attention to out there in terms of, I know these other states are paying attention to him too as well. But he's out there leading the front on that, man. There's a whole ton of other things going on in the cannabis industry just alone from, you know what I mean? We talk about people trying to cap a strain, you know what I mean?
Funk Dr. Spock. Yes, sir. That's what's up. Amy says, nice shirt, Barry.
Yeah, I'm showing love to all my Texas folks. You know what I mean? When I went to Texas, I took my kids by the, in the opening scene in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the cemetery was. So my sister, my grandmother, and her husband, I think, are all buried in that cemetery in Leander, Texas. Yeah. So I took my kids out there to check it out. It's like real spooky, man. You know what I mean? So shout out to my folks in Texas. Y'all know what it's about, man. It basically, Chainsaw Massacre is like, fuck that cold weather out there. You know what I mean? You got Jerry capping over there on the gas company while everybody out there freezing, on them Cowboy fans out there freezing Jerry. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
Did you ever go visit the actual Texas Chainsaw gas station, like sausage house that they had in Austin, Texas before they tore it down?
Yeah, unless you knew somebody. This was pre-internet, prior to me going back. You know what I mean? So I didn't have time to really, I didn't know about all that. I just knew that cemetery when it would open up. And I'm like, man, I remember we watched it. And my folks told me, yeah, that's where, grandma was buried. And eventually my sister got buried there. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy.
Damn. Mike Rock says, fuck Jerry. I mean, I've heard that a lot. That seems to be a popular saying. And as you say that, this is what Jerry will say back to you with his face. Oh, it's not. It's in the background. My bad.
Yeah, you got on the wrong one. You got to put on the cover.
There we go. What can I do, ladies and gentlemen?
Are you not entertained?
I'm going to stay rich. That's just the way things go. I got myself a lot of money. I've got a very big boat. If y'all want to come on the boat, that's cool. I'll screen you for it. Yeah, he's
got a natural gas company. If you need heat, I can turn on the gas with a flip of a switch.
Just take yourself a warm shower and hang out.
And think about Dez Bryant while you're in the warm shower, huh?
That's another thing I've been hearing too. We always know that there's a few things that they kind of go to the well. Cowboys fans go to the well about in the offseason, and people are talking about picking him up again. So already, man. Didn't
see that one coming.
So what do you think about that C99, man? That Cinderella 99?
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. I like it. It's good flower. It's a sativa. Again, you know what I mean? You're talking about, I can sleep sometimes when I'm tired at night. I can smoke and go to sleep with sativa, but I prefer some indica, especially, for veterans that have a hard time sleeping at it. Sometimes you just wait. Sometimes it's just night you just can't go to fucking sleep, man. It's like 2 in the morning. You're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Got to get up, roll something or do something. But yeah, no, the C99 has been great. It's actually been one of the better strains. Of course, it's Legends. Shout out Jerry. This ain't his. But that company Legends he owns is getting all them tickets and them suites I've been telling y'all about down there. Yeah, shout out Jerry and the Legends. They've been talking about selling that. And it's funny that you see that news come out with him and that gas company. But yeah, it'd be nice to get Dez Bryant back before I get off on a tangent. You know what I mean?
But yeah, see, we're sitting on 18 million right now. We got to get Dak back. I mean, look, here's what's starting to get real scary for me. The closer we get to the draft, the closer I get to the realization that there is a very big possibility that this team could draft a quarterback with their 10th pick this year. I mean, it's a scary thing. And again, I don't want to spin off either. but there's a lot of scary things that are approaching in
Bro, look,
that life.
You know, I've been doing some research, and I'm just like, if Jerry don't sign Dak, there's going to be a quarter of this fan base is going to go with Dak. Like a quarter of the fan base left with LeBron James and went down to wherever he at the Heat. You know what I mean? So, Jerry, you better pay the fuck attention, man. Y'all already can't fill no seats over there. Y'all getting all that gas money now because y'all can't get no seats. Y'all pay that boy Dak, man. We're going to lose a bunch of Cowboy fans. Not me, but it's already folks out there already saying that, man.
B Red is over here saying he drove in snow for the first time in his life yesterday and today. It was funny as shit. Dirt track sliding everywhere. That's cool as hell to do when there's no cars near you. Let me tell you, the real terror, and I'm sure you've probably seen the video of that crash that happened in Dallas, and I think it was I-35 in Dallas, and where just people just unable to stop, and it just the semi that shit right there. Yeah. It's terrifying, man. When I first moved here, I drove a Cadillac STS from Odessa, Texas to Denver, Colorado. And that car is not snow worthy. I would slide around in that thing all the time.
Big old heavy ass Cadillac, heavy ass back end.
I got hit. I think probably the first week I was here, I got hit in the back. Just somebody slid into me. I'm like, all right, I got to get rid of this. But yeah, learning how to drive in snow when people are not around you is pretty cool. Having to do it when there's a mixture of idiots on the road with you, and on rush hour is definitely not the coolest thing in the world. But I don't know.
Brian says I'm sorry to interrupt you, Bob. Brian said they could do an Airbnb at the chainsaw house. Are you lying? Tell me you lying.
They said it would be fun to go to the BNB. I don't know. I didn't know they actually had. I know that
I know like Will Smith. I mean, why not? I mean, what I mean. They're filming Coming to America Part 2 in Rick Ross's mansion, who used to be, what's the guy's name? Evander Holyfield. Got his ear bit. You know what I mean? Rick Ross bought that. They're filming American. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So that would be cool to go to an Airbnb at the chainsaw, man. I probably wouldn't sleep, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's big business out here in Denver too. The bud and breakfasts are pretty big. I think the gas station I was talking about, I think they tore that down a long time ago in Austin, Texas, but there's a few different sites because there's so many Texas Chainsaw movies. But if we're talking about the original gas station, the original house, most of that stuff was in Central Texas, and I think they're gone.
Because even the cemetery, like I said, is in Leander, and that's 30 minutes outside of Austin.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and then there's another house outside of Round Rock, in between Round Rock and Hutto, I think Interstate 79.
Round Rock and Hutto, holy shit!
I think they're saying that's where the house was off in the back that was in the woods up there or something like that. I don't know if that was true or not, but like I said, it looked like it. I never went up there. But no, I took them to that cemetery, but that was scary enough. Like, damn, they filmed a movie here.
Yeah, that movie's messed up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he needed to smoke something and chill out, man.
Just calm down, man. I don't like head cheese.
PTSD, anxiety, all that shit was kicking in on my man. He needed some motherfucking. He needed some dank so he could sit down.
Hey, Brandon, when I moved to Austin, I made sure. Because I forgot I know that it was the early 90s was Dazed. I was still living in Miami when that was popping off. But as soon as I got to Austin, I went to that Top Notch and I ate there. And it was all right, but it was definitely cool. It's cool to drive around because all of the places that they filmed Dazed in Austin are completely accessible. Linklater made the choice to shoot there because of it. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I liked driving on the Mopac on Austin, which is the opening scene for Office Space. That's pretty funny stuff too.
Yeah, Austin has grown so much over the years, man. I remember first 5, maybe 8 years going back home. I was like, it's kind of the same. Things changed, but now it's like fucking all redesigned. Like I don't even know, going through Hutto and Pflugerville, the back roads to get to 70, like all that shit. I'm like, man, this ain't. I'm lost now. You know what I mean?
Hutto. That's Central Texas can get confusing, man, and there's definitely some scary places out there. Again, we're talking about locations for the shooting of Texas Chainsaw Massacre happening out there. So yeah. I don't really know how the hell we spun off onto this conversation.
Oh, she said nice shirt, and we got to talking about that. But circling back and getting to this capping, you know what I mean, on the industry. While I was bringing up, follow marijuanamoment.net. Stay abreast, everything we stay abreast here. You know what I mean? It's true and accurate information. Like I said, I've been a patron for them for probably, I think, over 2 years now. And what's going on in New Jersey, you know what I mean, as they became legal and now their legalization is rolling out, is something to pay attention to, especially when it comes to this capper, because you think about it, not even everybody's federally legal yet. So it's not like they can come in and rubber stamp some law and say everybody got 15%. So I wouldn't get too bent out of shape of it, but I just thought it was kind of unique how, you know what I mean, there's folks out there like that. And then I thought, well, there's folks out there that hated on Dak Prescott, that continue to hate on him on Valentine's Day with a picture of his lady on the beach. So I was like, yeah, them haters, they out there.
Like I said before, if someone had to say to themselves, all right, look, let's say Iowa or Iowa, is Iowa not legal? I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me, Bobby. I know that there's obviously there's states out there who aren't legal yet. If they say to their youth and to the voters, okay, we will let cannabis be legal in this state as long as you cannot make any products higher than 15%, in the comment section, let me know right now, if you are in a non-legal state, would you be okay with that in order to get it passed in your state to stay at a 15% cap? That's concentrates, that's edibles, that's everything 15%, not just your flower. So let me know if that's something you would be okay with in order to get legality flowing in your state. I partied at the Moon Tower too. Party at the Moon Tower, man. Yeah, I was there too. That's a cool little place to be at, man.
Oh, Dallas got her photo up. She all the way fully out of jail. What's up, girl? She got her clothes on, everything. We see you over there.
Yeah, that's why I was making sure I popped that one up there.
Yeah.
You would be okay. Brandon B. Red said he'd be okay with that. I mean, look, again, I think that the average for most cannabis is probably 15 to 20% anyway, if I'm being honest. And that's obviously someone like myself who's not really a fan of the percentages. I think that'd be worth it. I think it'd be worth it for some people.
It's funny because earlier I was trying to get to this point and I failed to make it, but they're going off all this research. Now it's the race for research. The research to say it's psychosis, it's gonna make you a psychopath, it's gonna make black guys fuck white women. You know what I mean? That sounds like Harry Anslinger. But and then on the other side, it's the race for research too, because like the VA and folks, like I say, veterans, if you're watching, there's gonna come a point, and I'll tell you, I think 2022 might be the year. I've been hearing 2022 a lot now. So I guess there's some big races going on. Because now the Democrats are running the Senate with the VP and all this stuff I never paid attention to. Now I have to with this legislation, because that's what's going to make sure, like we say, our boats are in the water before this tide comes in. But it's the race for research. And I think as soon as folks can find anything derogatory, because I'm starting to see more and more of it now too. Trend, I don't know if you guys are. Let me know in the comments. Have you seen more and more content coming out about, it's bad for you and this, because those folks are going to come out too. Because you got to remember, the tobacco industry is going to lose money.
Yeah, they already are. And so has alcohol companies. What is up, Angel? Good to see you, my friend.
That's what I really want to say, the alcohol industry. You know what I mean? And they're both regulated and taxed. And then here comes the hot new thing.
Yeah. Why are White Claws, why are seltzers so popular right now, ladies and gentlemen? Why do you think that's some shit that they tried to roll out like 20 years ago, like fucking Zima, that did not work? All of a sudden there's a massive test market for it. And all of a sudden everyone's got their own seltzer. It's hilarious how some of these companies are grasping at straws trying to keep up with the cannabis industry, because people are realizing, man, if you want to unwind, it is just much better for you to just find a space in your house for you to take a few puffs off of some really, really good bud and then unwind that way, as opposed to hitting a bar and, fucking possibly getting some shit, getting in some issues, man. I mean, I don't know.
You got to kind of, I don't even want to say pick your poison, because this is medicine. You know what I mean? That's that stigma talking still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I had to have the conversation with one of my kids the other day, you know what I mean, about it. And just, it's legal. Like, you can go in and buy it. Like, because he's like, oh, my friend said this, or, my friend said that. I mean, you want your kids coming and talking to you because you want to educate them, because if not, they'll get educated somewhere else. But this stigma that's out there, it's bad, it's devil's lettuce still. There's more and more American acceptance of this as a medicine now. And then basically we got to have the research to catch up. But I don't know. It could be this year. We know the MORE Act is set to hit the Senate. There's a ton of other things they still got to address, especially this pandemic we're in. Now we're talking about variants and other shit. You know what I mean? That's out there. Who knows if we even going to be at a home opener this year. But stay tuned.
Let me ask you this, if you don't mind me asking. Have you had that conversation with your kids? Have you actually sat down and have a conversation, or is it just something you address as you hear them speak or something like that?
Well, it's in my desk. And they come in here, they can catch me rolling, they see me. And I tell them it's medicine. You know what I mean? Daddy does not take, like, I can go in there, the rest of my family got a drawer full of pills in there. I ain't none of them mine. I don't even take aspirin. I don't take no pills. Like I tell you, I was in a psych ward for 3 days, man, and they gave me some shit that fuck with my head. And I'm saying, I ain't doing that no more. I mean, it was already bad enough, you feel me? But I didn't need y'all to throw gasoline on the fire. But I had that talk with him and just told him it's medicine, instead of, daddy has to pay for medicine until the VA can give it to me, because it's going to happen. You know what I mean? At some point, it will happen.
Yeah. And like you said, I think it's much smarter to at least get that information out, because kids obviously were looking before they were talking about it. That's just the way it is. I remember knowing stuff before I knew it as a kid, and you just kind of have to make sure. Hopefully, you get that good information. And as a punk rocker, as a punk kid, I would always take that information and then test it. No matter what information I was given, I always wind up trying to find a way to test that shit. And if I figured that it applied to me, that it made sense, then I would usually roll with that. But that's cool that you're able to have that dialogue, man, especially since you are in a legal state. That's, whether you have it or not.
That's my number one argument. Like, how is it bad for dad if I can go in there and buy it? Or if anybody else can go in there, that's a legal limit. You know what I mean? We're talking about alcohol and drinking, and I mean, it's totally different. Like, that whole stigma, like, people don't even realize. Like, I see the memes going around. Shout out Sarah Berryhill. She's been becoming pretty good cannabis meme dealer. She's beating me in his memes. So, nice. I want to steal her shit and share it, because then she's going to, you know what I'm saying? I see you out there, Sarah, but she's out there getting them memes, and it says that, as soon as, I'm around all my friends that drink and I decline all their drinks and I spark up a blunt, now all of a sudden I'm a drug addict.
Yeah, man, that's funny. That's funny. It's almost that they don't know the hypocrisy of how they speak, and it's I kind of compare it to when growing up, everybody's mom had an issue with me for some fucking reason, probably because I talked too much and I knew too much. But they were always like, that Bobby kid's bad news. And I'm telling you, I hung out with some people that were real bad news dudes that were just fucking making stupid decisions. And a lot of those people were worse than I was, you know what I'm saying? But once you get that kind of popular thought process and everyone starts thinking about it and thinking that way, it's real hard to shake. It's the same shit with cannabis, man. Like, I don't know, man. It goes
back to what we're talking about, the education. You've got to, and I talk about this all the time. There's two types of people, really. There's three kind of Cowboy fans, but there's really two types of people, and you're either iOS or you're Android. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter which one you are, but does your updates fucking work?
Right.
When you get an update, do you sit on it for a fucking year, or do you receive it when it comes in and figure out, oh, it's bad for my system, and then delete it, or no, I need it, and no, I can use it and as a practitioner now, because the difference between knowledge or the definition of knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power. All the knowledge in the world can appear as ignorance until it's applied. Applied knowledge is power, like what you were talking about.
100%, man. Angel says, I'm reading about it in the cannabis industry, early stages. I thought it was funny that, what was it, Mike Rock? Mike Rock said, as I'm drinking a Bud Light seltzer. That's what happened.
But I mean, it's designer stuff, just like everything else. I remember that Zima shit too, and I'm just like, remember the St. Ides, different colors that came out? Remember when 40s were big? Man. And the R&B industry made the 40 bottles, and it was St. Ides and OE and all the different fucking, like.
Billy D. Williams.
Like, I only know maybe 5 people on one hand that drink 40 still. You know what I mean? But it's nothing bad. You know what I mean? But shout out Mike Rock. He said he over there, was he drinking on?
What's funny is that we didn't have 40s in Miami, Florida growing up. The biggest bottle we could get was a quart, which was 32. So, it was sort of the same thing. But every once in a while, we'd find like a jug of some like real nasty, like Mississippi mud or some shit. Buy one of those big things. But Mike Rock's throwing out okay, so if we want to spin off on that one, I'll take it a step further. I fractured my ankle skateboarding at the top of a parking garage on Cisco, berry flavored Cisco, the one that said this is for 2 people, which is just like telling a young person drink 3. That was some nasty shit.
Right. I took a couple swigs of Mad Dog, man, and that shit pinched my kidney so hard. I threw that shit. I never touched it since, man. I'm like, I ain't fucking with no Mad Dog. I maybe would have drank some Boone's Farm early on, but I didn't fuck with that Mad Dog. It shit hit my kidney like Mike Tyson. I was like, oh, I ain't fucking with that no more.
I just assumed beer was the same as malt liquor, and they did a really, really good job of making it seem that way for a long time until I started drinking those Mickey's brain grenades and just getting real messed up on the Mickey's, man. I started realizing this isn't beer, man. It tastes like it's thick. It's like it's just different, man. Like, but even back then, I was smoking. I'm like, nah, you keep that, man. I'm gonna puff on this.
I remember them grenades, man. I run one past you because my father used to drink them Mickey's too. But he drank some before then. I think he had in the Army. They were called Little Kings.
I don't remember that.
It's a beer called Little Kings. I think he got it from overseas somewhere, but it was kind of like a green bottle too. So,
did your dad have the Mickey's Hornet tattooed on him?
Oh no, he didn't have.
Okay. All right.
Another thing about it, he didn't have no tattoos. That's weird. He was in the Army, didn't have none. I was in the Navy, and didn't have none.
I know a lot of people that had that tattoo, and whether they ranged from really nice looking to beat.
Well, that's usually how it happens. Sailors go overseas, they get sloppy drunk, and they wind up in a tattoo chair. You know, this is the first thing my mother told me. You're not coming home with no Chinese tattoos, are you? And nothing against no Chinese folks out there, but you know what I'm saying. Like kanji, you know, it might say, you know, Barry's crazy or something. And it said Dallas Cowboys. It said Dallas Cowboys. No, you ain't setting me up, dog.
That's actually the only thing I have on my body is actually kanji lettering. And I did a lot of research. And this is pre-internet too, pretty much.
Good for you for doing research, because some folks didn't do no research.
Yeah, mine says cause and effect. And that's something I've always been a fan of in my life. Karma is, I believe in that shit. I did dirt. Yeah. I got dirt. Time to reset in my life. I hit a reset a long time ago, and I 100% believe in that shit.
Well, you got to do all the wrong shit for you learn to, you know, be thankful to go through those trials to learn, you know, the right shit to do. Now here we are, but yeah. But bro, so did we have any veterans on the line? I know you're gonna get to Brian, but if we had some veterans on the line, I didn't see everybody. If you're not commenting, if you're an Army veteran or a USMC veteran, comment square groupers.
Comment square groupers. Haven't touched Mad Dog since playing beer pong with it. But yeah, dude, I haven't touched it in 20, 30, 40 years. Man, all I know is that after throwing up a good amount of Barry Cisco, like that right then and there should have been sort of a warning. But no, a week later I went out and got drunk and tried to skateboard and fractured my ankle, went home, took a hot bath and hemorrhaged the fucking thing. Remember, my brother took pictures, Polaroid pictures that he probably still has of my whole fucking ankle is purple and huge.
Oh, we gotta find them, man.
And then I actually went to school the next day. My coach, who's a good friend of mine's father, was like, "You fucking idiot, man." He would just walk up and flick me in the ear. He's stupid. What'd you do last night? Nothing, coach. I didn't do anything. Cisco did it. But you know what? The nights that I went and hung out at my friend's house and played Sega Genesis and smoked cannabis, yeah, I was fine. We weren't trying to jump around and break each other's legs. I'm smoking that shit. So just something about that alcohol back in the days.
Yep. Shout out all the veterans, you guys. If you didn't tune in last week's episode, you know what I mean? I had my boy OG Black Santa from the Las Vegas Raiders fan base on there. We were talking about veteran protection 2.0 in the cannabis industry. You know what I mean? Especially with a lot of folks running around with a lot of cash. You know what I mean? We're talking about y'all trying to cap the market already, and the market ain't even federally legal, man. We need to go over there and hit that dude up, man. Like, what's you talking about, Holmes?
Trying to take money out already. Think about what it would do. And this is something I don't know if you got into this, because as an older folk, we didn't grow up smoking glass, shatter, fucking wax. We had two things. You either had flour or you had the hash that was rubbed off of somebody's hand for picking the flower. That was really all we had growing up. And if we're lucky, growing up in South Florida, we actually did have access to gallons of hash oil. So I would say that we had that too, but you know, we didn't have the wax and shit like that. And that's actually a big deal to a lot of the younger generation of smokers doing those dabs. I don't know if you've ever seen that honey badger machine. It's pretty badass. It's an expensive little containment thing where you can just touch the wax and smoke it. You don't have to have rigs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Shout out Dro Garcia. He follows us here. He was on our last show. He's a Cowboy fan out there. I think he's in California somewhere. He's been dabbing on live and doing some stuff every day, going live, smoking and doing some stuff over there. I don't know. I seen that. I'm sorry to interrupt because I'm good at that. But that Vice show with 2 Chainz, and he was dabbing and he got so fucking high. I'm like, man, I ain't fucking with it. If 2 Chainz got that, I'm like, bro, I would have been in a coma. Like, I'm not fucking with that. Man, you gotta know your limits. You know what I mean?
I love 2 Chainz because of that damn show, man. I'm a huge fan of that show because of it. He's just one of those. I feel like I could get smoke out with that dude and have a lot of fun.
And that's called what? Expensivest?
Most expensivest.
Most expensivest. Yeah, y'all check that out on Vice.
Yeah, that's some weird shit,
man. Yeah, it's some great cannabis content. You know, what was it? The donuts, the glittery donuts,
and gold on the donut. but you know what? It's funny that you say that because all the cannabis shit is what I really paid attention to, like the Cannagars, and then like these box sets where they have like these specific strains that. And again, I don't think they went. I remember them specifically not saying strain names in these cute little box sets they were putting together. They made their own freaking brand, obviously. So that's kind of, I remember saying to myself even back then, like, oh, that shit sucks, man.
But it was like 5 figures for that box, I think.
Yeah,
some astronomical price. I mean, even 2 Chainz is like, huh? Like, what the
and
fuck?
Most of the time, that dude's paid, and a lot of times he's like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I need gold flakes on any of my shit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but it's called Most Expensivest. As you can see, it's about some outlandish shit. You know what I mean? So shout out 2 Chainz down there in ATL. Y'all need to go over there on Vice. You know what I mean? And check that out. So,
yeah, much love, B Red. Thank you so much, man.
That's gang, man. Always supporting Brandon Reddick. You know what I mean? He's out there in Gladewater, man. Be safe out there.
Amy, yo, straight up, Amy. There is this place. Shout out to everybody in South Florida who remembers a club called Mars Bar. I know exactly what you're talking about. That Bacardi Limon was my joint for a long time. And that's some 90s horrid shit. Like, oh man. Ooh. Yeah, I don't have bad memories of cannabis.
Yeah. What was your favorite drink when you did drink? Any kind of alcohol?
You know what? I'm going to go with when I started not professionally, just drinking more than I should have was the first few years I was in Austin, Texas. So let's call that 2000, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, something like that. I was pretty much, when I was a bouncer for 3 or 4 of the nightclubs down there in Austin, I would go into Logan's and they would slide me a Mandarin and 7 because they knew that's what I'd like. So I'd walk in for my shift and I'd have one slid at me and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I guess I have to drink that. And it was part of this like alcohol family. You know what I mean? It was an notion.
Take your medicine. Take your medicine.
Pretty much, man. So I think it was absolute Mandarin and 7 was my drink. So I think after a while I started figuring out that vodka didn't fuck me up real bad. Like, you know, spiced rums and stuff that had coloring in it and shit like that. Like, I had a bad experience when I was 18. I took 18 shots of vodka, losing myself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had alcohol poisoning. So I didn't drink vodka for a very long time. That's when I started drinking that Limon and all that other bullshit. But yeah, vodka I found later. Vodka and sake are 2 things I can drink. I can drink sake and not have a problem with it.
Warm sake with some Chinese food is good. I like that.
It's so good, man. It's different. It's rice wine, man. It doesn't give you that little irk feeling or nothing. It just sort of gives you that little, you get dizzy and shit. But
5, 6, 7 shots of sake, boy, before you know it, you sake your ass down.
I love it. I love it, man. It's just so good. It makes me feel so good. But going back to what we're talking about, it trying to take money out of people's dispensaries is not going to fly. You would effectively eliminate 50% of all the dispensaries in Denver right now. You take 50% of their stock off their hands by saying 15% is your cap, because you couldn't sell any edibles anymore and you couldn't sell any concentrates and anything in between all that shit. So I don't know, man. I don't think that it's a successful thing. I understand maybe why you would want to do that, but it sounds to me like they were citing it looks like a study that they were doing. The study was cited as one of the main reasons why that was to happen.
They were using a study saying, based on this study, you know what I mean, this is why we should cap it. You know what I mean? Speaking of caps, like I said, if you're veterans, like I said, I know a lot of folks who grew up with veterans on here, but we want to get the veterans on the line with us. So the first Army veteran that comes on here and comments even after the show today, Square Grouper or USMC, we'll see it and we'll get it out to you. But yeah, I don't foresee it happening. Like we said, everybody's got to try to find a lane. Even them DAC haters are finding new lanes. And they was coming on this photo on Valentine's Day talking about his fucking ankle. Like, I mean, it's like, really? Like, that's where we're at, low. So you got to remember, there's always somebody out there for everything. So these folks, obviously, they came up on this study, just like a lot of, hey, I'm first to report, first to, you know what I mean, all this other stuff. And it's probably a study done 3 weeks ago on 2 fucking people. You know what I mean? And, you know, they did 2 email surveys or something like that. So a study, again, that's where your due diligence is that when we see these things, we got to go out, as you see Bob's pulled that up, and stick around with us here because, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, we're not even totally federally legal. That's something that would affect every state, but every state has their own laws. So again, put that shit on pause.
That's too hard. Because once you, like in a state that you're in, a state that I'm in, once you already have your established businesses, you start having your established income. Your established income, excuse me, brings you your established taxes, and those taxes are something that people start relying on every year and especially when they see those numbers start going up. So when you start proposing these kinds of things that are going to automatically make someone say, "Are you trying to take money from me?" It's going to be real hard for you to convince anybody, whether they're level with you, higher or lower than you, that what you're about to do is take a lot of money from them right now, and it's for the greater good. Hey. It just doesn't work that way anymore, man.
I know if Texas would have had it passed, they sure could use all that money they need now over there from the cannabis industry with what they got going on in that frozen tundra. You know what I mean?
Texas, that's a different situation.
I think they may come to some grips now. You know what I mean? Because now this power plant that we can, I know we're gonna get off on the tangent here, but this power grid thing, and people are learning about now, and in between 2 sections of the country, and how everything works. So folks are wising up, man. So you know what I mean? You got to stick around with us here so you can get the download. All
it takes is an instance for this to happen for you to learn from it. So I remember when I first moved to West Texas in Odessa, I was asking, where the hell are the drains? They're like, what you talking about? Where are all the drains on the streets, man? Where does the fucking water go? Look, I grew up in a swamp in Miami, Florida. There are fucking drains every 5 feet because the place could be flooded over any moment. And I didn't understand how that was any different than any place else. I just assumed everybody was like that. But come to find out, they just didn't get a lot of rainfall. And hell no, they didn't get a lot of snow. So there's no reason for this drainage. Usually the ground would absorb really what they needed to absorb. But the issue in Texas and a lot of southern states that have never experienced a cold snap is we all know, is the plumbing. Once the plumbing freezes over and expands and it starts bursting and shit, unless you've had to deal with that shit 15, 20 times, you don't necessarily have the ability to just switch your city over to snow mode and rebuild all these homes and replumb all these pipes and shit. I don't think there was no way you could win that one. You know what I'm saying? Either way.
And you got to be careful as we wrap it up here. You got to be careful because as y'all come out of this now, here come all the scammers. GoFundMe, I need this. I'll come help you fix this shit. And you pay me some contractors, fake bougie work. All that stuff comes with all that stuff. So you got to keep your eyes open. First thing, y'all got to survive down there. So prayers up to everybody in Texas. This show is dedicated to you guys down there. We wanted to bring this to y'all today, but stay looking for them digital dealers. Y'all know how they are. Y'all know how they get. You know what I mean?
You always got to have the mind of a Jedi.
Baby, you do really smoke weed? Oh.
Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Oh man. Well, BG, that's I think that might be the show, man. We've got a couple let's see, it's like Chicago don't have street drains in the see what I'm saying, man? I don't know. I think it's too hard for me to say, oh, just go ahead and throw a new infrastructure into the middle of your city, especially fucking Chicago or any major metro city. But there's, like I said, Texas, you just couldn't expect them to do anything and be able to react to any of that, man. That's just
my home state, man. I know it's got a special place in your heart. You know what I mean? So prayers out to you guys. Hang in there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, y'all. Well, we're going to take off, man. If you guys have you want to throw anything in the comments, let me know. We saw a couple people answer whether they would want their, if you were in an illegal state and would be okay with 15%. I think like most people, especially Texas, I would be cool as a Texan to say, fine, if you get me dispensaries and you cap my weed at 15%, cool. Those numbers are going to start being fudged anyway. Do you know what I mean? And the real problem there is if you did pass that, you're going to send all of the people who already have established kits and stuff like that to create all the shatter. They're just going to go underground.
It's too much money, man. It's too much money going to be left on the table, bro. I just don't think they're going to do it. I think it's just folks trying to find their lane on some shit. You know what I mean?
You'll just refuel the black market, man. And that's not a good thing. But anyway, folks, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Square Groupers tonight. BG, as always, man. Always good kicking it with you guys. You got anything you want to say before we take off?
No, man. Y'all stay warm out there. Shout out my folks in Texas, man. Hook 'em, baby.
Yeah, man. Have a good one. 30-second countdown.